Hello indie game fans, an interesting week of smaller games and ports awaits us, but of course, the top 5 are must-gets in my opinion, with a surprising slate of bigger games of interest as well in this edition of Indie Gaming this week. Let's begin with ProtoCorgi, one of the cutest shoot-em-up titles where you play as a cybernetic corgi on a quest to save your kidnapped owner from evil aliens. It has such a wonderful pixel art look, and is another title that I have a fondness for, having first stumbled upon this in March 2019, see this video on itch.io games, so I'm happy to see that it finally gets released. The developers describe this as a buck 'em up, so I do suppose that the buck will come into play, and with 27 different weapons, including lasers, missiles, and even a melee attack from a ghost, adds to the variety, making it a cannot miss for fans of the genre. I'm not a fan of horror games since my poor heart cannot take it, but when I stumbled upon SPOOKWARE, I had to give it a mention. This is a micro game collection, so not even a mini game collection, where it's about exploring horror tropes as you help the skelly bros live death to the fullest. What an interesting concept. Think WarioWare but themed around spooky stuff and you get the idea, where publisher DreadXP is definitely doing something very interesting in the horror game space. This video is brought to you by the RedDeer Games Summer Sale on Nintendo Switch. This company is a Polish publisher of indie games, having quite a number of fantastic smaller games under their belt, where these deals apply if you just own one of their games, and even if you don't, add the free comic coloring book on Switch to qualify for these. Games on sale are all at a significant discount, where we have the cozy adventure games Under Leaves and Little Mouse's Encyclopedia at 70% off, Brawl Chess, which is chess but with great art at 75% off, the trippy drawing simulator Art School at 75% or 80% off depending on where you live, notable since this developer pulled it from Steam, a trio of games at 90% off with the racing car chase simulator OMG Police, the tremendously underrated party game Clumsy Rush, and the arcade racer with an 80s anime aesthetic that's a little bit risque, Nirvana Pilot Yume, and finally, the crowning glory of this sale, the neon-infused cyberpunk puzzle game Cyber Protocol at a whopping 99% off, making it a no-brainer to pick up. In addition to the sale, this publisher is running a massive giveaway, link in the description, with links to all of the games that I've mentioned, as well as a giveaway for 55 game codes and an eShop card worth $200 or euros, which is just fantastic. Follow the instructions on the Gleam giveaway, and for 10 additional entries, use my code Clemmygames.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
A physics platformer with a twist is how I would describe Fling to the Finish, one where you and a friend control two balls that need to get to the finish line, where the trick is that you are tethered together, which of course leads to multiplayer shenanigans. If anyone enjoyed Crumble from last year and wants more, this is a title to get, where the physics in this looks wacky and fun, but do note that it will be in early access. I'm happy to share that the rhythm action roguelite Beat Blast makes the list, launching out of early access after a year. Explore the MIDI-verse, a virus-ridden technical realm where music takes physical form, so how's that for an interesting setting? It's an action title with bullet hell influences, where one of the most amazing aspects of this game is the upgrade system. As you can see in the bottom left, the coloured blocks represent attacks and abilities, which automatically fire off in accordance to the time signature, where having abilities on the same beat does combine them like a Path of Exile style upgrade system. As such, fantastic theme and awesome upgrades makes this worth picking up. I love city builders, so it's always interesting to see new takes on the genre, where T-30 adds a time limit, which is not something that you see every day. You have just 30 minutes to scavenge as many resources as you can in order to build as many rockets to save as many people, but the minimalistic art style adds a sense of style to this. I do wonder how replayable this game is and if there are any progression elements, but it does look like a great game. Let's kick off bigger games of the week with Alien's Fireteam Elite, a co-op third-person shooter that has up to 3 players teaming together to kill xenomorphs. Based on previews, this is one of the rare good games using the Aliens IP, and for more upcoming games in the space, do check out my video linked above. Like Songs of Conquest, I was pleasantly surprised to see that King's Bounty 2 was in development, the latest entry in a long-running franchise that has close ties to the Heroes of Might and Magic series, so if you're looking for something in that vein, be sure to check this out. An impressive-looking detective title is Murder Mystery Machine, where, despite the look, it does come to us from a team of 50-odd people, which makes it not so indie. Things have a funny way of coming around full circle in games, where the first-person exploration title, Myst from 1993, is getting a remake 28 years later, bringing the visuals to the modern age and introducing itself to a whole new audience. A lot has happened in the 28 years since its original release, including games like The Witness coming out, as well as this studio's other works like Abduction, so to go back to where it all began is a pleasant symmetry. It does also have optional VR support, but for being one of the classics, makes this worth a play.
My name is Raz, and today is my first official day on the job.
Finally, Psychonauts 2 is now decidedly not indie, having been acquired by Microsoft, but is still a title that I think will be of interest to indie game fans, one that has been a very long time coming, so it's amazing that it's finally here. The sequel to the cult classic 3D platformer from 2005 looks to be bigger and better, and if you have never played it, the original appears to be 90% off on Steam until the end of the week, so be sure to pick this up, although this sequel does have a AAA price.
You don't usually see this in the physical world.
Just remember you're facing raiding, soldier.
The Psychonauts. We're not here to change people's minds, not here to fix people.
Don't panic.
You said panic.
We're here to help people fight their own demons.
I know what you're up to, kid. Just keep out of my head. You'll be sorry.
I don't think you understand the gravity of the situation you're in.
Maligula really could rise again.
We need to get to the bottom of this.
You're right. We do.
Here goes nothing.
That brain was booby-trapped.
Someone hired him. Someone on the inside.
I'm not sure who to trust anymore.
Isn't it great? The Psychonauts haven't had this kind of a threat in years.
Too late to turn back now.
My name is Raz, and today is my first official day on the job.
Smaller Games begins with a winding path, an intricately detailed hand-drawn adventure game that simply looks fantastic, getting my attention, so here's hoping that the puzzles and story is good enough.
so wretched of the earth.
I mentioned Calturin in a video on upcoming games from my website, where the pixel art bullet hell boss rush title looks pretty neat, launching this week, so give it a look.
Lies in you. Listen, I am not unreasonable. I offer you a path to regain your freedom by doing my bidding. Go through the gauntlet of portals and better the world by removing these monsters. Just focus on one at a time, and before you know it, you will be free of me. Here. Make haste, mage, and do not fail me if you value your life.
1 second, everything was fine. The next one, they were lost in time. Step 1, fix my time machine. Step 2, go back in time. And step 3, find all the cats. Easy, isn't it?
If you have a soft spot for cute games, Cats in Time is a hidden object or puzzle toy box about finding our feline friends looking also wonderful and of interest.
Maybe I need some help.
Want to explore the mysteries of the Lost Temple? But there are many dangers hiding.
Indie games are wonderful since you do get throwback titles in genres that are no longer being made, case in point being Elmarion The Lost Temple, a first-person real-time party-based RPG which is very retro.
Skeletons, spiders, ghosts and other dangerous creatures. In the dungeons, you will find many mysteries and secret places in which you can find valuable things. Get each hero in great armor, and then you will not be afraid of the most dangerous enemies.
An awesome looking puzzle game is Epiphany City, where you can use picture frames to manipulate the world, getting a Prologue demo this week. You know that I'm a fan of pixel art, so one of the most impressive games of the week is Fallow, using what looks like a 2-bit color palette with a tremendous amount of detail in the environment, making this a beauty to look at. There are a couple of interesting horror games this week, the first of which is the Japanese title Last Light, having you explore a tragedy-stricken abandoned hospital, which of course is bad news, and if you're interested, there should be an English translation. The Endless Runner genre is pretty played out at this point, but Little Dog Bob won me over with the quality of the animation and art looking absolutely fantastic, even if the gameplay is a little uninspired. This next title is interesting since OneShot Fading Memory is a fan sequel to the puzzle game OneShot from 2016, released through the Steam ecosystem, which makes it more accessible. There were a number of great ports this week, so I had to be selective, but of course, Phoenotopia Awakening makes the cut, an action-adventure platformer with fantastic pixel art and gets onto Xbox this week. The next one's a twofer since both Spelunky 2 and Spelunky HD are getting onto Switch, and if you were one of those people that got way into HD on Vita, this will be for you. There's a subset of people who really love tanks, and if you're one of those, Sprocket will be of interest, a tank building and customization simulation that does allow you to field test these in combat scenarios, looking like it's made for a very specific type of person. One of the most cozy and beautiful titles of the week is Stories of Mara, a visual novel title set in the same world and having the same characters as the farming sim Summer in Mara, where I believe this is a prologue demo of sorts with just chapter 1. The effect that Kurosawa has had on samurai media is undeniable, where The Craft of the Samurai is a visual novel using that signature black and white, so let's see how great this is. If the art style of the Müll Littoral is familiar, that is because the same developer did release Existences last month, where this is the Steam version of an adventure game that was previously on itch.io, which seems to be pretty decently reviewed, so do give this a go. If you enjoy horror games, Tormented Souls is a survival horror entry that draws upon the original Resident Evil, so get your scares for the week with this. Finally, Watch Your Ride Bicycle Game is a physics platformer where you're biking on impossible terrain and obstacle courses in a similar vein to Lonely Mountains Downhill or Descenders, but is doing its own thing. Of course, the gorgeous Hoa makes the list, a title that, like Cuphead, got the attention of many due to the art style alone, looking very much like a Ghibli movie. It's a puzzle platformer about the magic of nature and imagination, looking cozy and wholesome. I know, Many of you mentioned that Metal Dogs is not indie, considering that it's a spin-off of the Metal Max series, which is owned by a huge corporation in Japan, but in my defense, the developer is Japanese, so it's a little difficult to get info on them, and this particular developer does only have 14 people listed on their website, so it might be a Streets of Rage 4 kind of thing. Regardless, it's an action roguelite where you play as dogs with weapons mounted on them, blasting away at tanks and giant bugs, so of course I'm in. If you love old-school party-based CRPGs like Baldur's Gate, then I'm sure that you'll be interested in Black Geyser Couriers of Darkness, a very classically designed one of these set in a grim dark high fantasy world. It's set against the backdrop of a civil war, where the game promises that your actions will have an effect on the ultimate fate of the kingdom, so it's that kind of role-playing experience. It does come to us from an international team spread across Hungary and Austria, so it's something a little different in the space. Man oh man. I absolutely love the look of Behind the Frame, The Finest Scenery, an adventure game where you play as an aspiring artist working on her masterpiece, absolutely stunning due to the art and animation. Like Hoa and Stories of Mara, the Studio Ghibli influence is clear, and while you do play as an artist, the art sim aspects are not really that in-depth, so don't expect something like Passepartout or such art in this. However, it's just such a pretty game, with, I hope, a nice story and clever puzzles getting a high spot on the list. The release of Baldo the Guardian Owls did creep up on me, where this 3D Zelda-style action-adventure title does look to be the most promising of the week. It has an art style reminiscent of Japanese developer Level 5, in particular Ni no Kuni Wrath of the White Witch, but is a full-on Zelda-style title that simply looks awesome. It does seem to have a very stereotypical setup of being the chosen one who is to stop a rising evil in the world, similar to the setup of Dragon Quest XI, but the joys of games like this often tend to be in the combat, puzzles, world building and characters, which makes this interesting, taking the #1 spot. For more Zelda-style action-adventure games, watch these videos and I will see you after the jump.